Hello Fumi Nation, how are you? How are we? My name is Fumi Desalu-Vold. For those of you that are stopping by for the very first time, you're so very welcome indeed. When I tell you that I am shocked, speechless and amazed, I really am shocked, speechless and amazed. Why is this so, Fumikins? Well, I'll tell you why. I was sitting down watching television. I rarely watch television. And on the television, I live in England, on the BBC, I saw that the late Mohamed Al Fayed had been essaying girls all the way from the 1980s. From the 1980s. Hundreds of them. Mohamed Al Fayed was the owner of Harrods. He had bought Harrods, and till this day I consider Harrods to be one of the most beautiful stores ever. If you want to compare Harrods to anything in America, I would kind of sort of say Bloomingdale's-ish. But Harrods still has more panache, so to speak. I was shocked because Al Fayed was Dodi's father. And as a lot of you might remember, Dodi was dating Princess Diana after her marriage to Prince Charles. And she passed away in Paris in a terrible accident alongside Dodi. Princess Diana went multiple times with the children, William and Harry, on holidays of which he hosted in the south of France and so on and so forth. And it was really, really terrible when that happened in 1997. Diana, of course, was the princess, the former princess of Wales, and the world was in a shock. I will never, ever, ever forget that. And so a lot of people, as I really empathize with Mohamed Al Fayed that he had lost his son in such a terrible way. And that was the end of it. Until this documentary, which has been released here in England, talking about the monstrosities of which he carried out on these women. I cannot say allegedly because Harrods has actually financially compensated a lot of these women. When they're talking about, working at the store at that time, some of them were 22, 23, and these terrible things went on. Because I was saying to myself, things that happened in the 90s, it could never happen today because of the Me Too movement, Diddy, and so many things are coming out now that have been going on for years. And I say to myself, it has to be terrible. It has to have been terrible being a young girl and being a young boy, because we have Abercrombie and Finch, and Mike, whatever he calls himself, has also been arrested for SA. And this has been happening for years. For years, that Mohamed Al Fayed was doing this to women and bringing them to his house. I was watching, I was speechless. He brought them to his house. Apparently, I think it's called Park Lane. Let me just double check this. Yes. He brought them to his house in Park Lane. On top of which, he also, and I feel that the doctors have to take accountability, he would insist on the girls being examined and having results of their medical records of personal details, just to make sure that they did not have any transmitted diseases, so on and so forth. And these doctors carried it out. And there was security in all of these stores. And there were managers, and they saw all of this, and they thought it was funny, and they laughed, and this. I'm going to put the link below this episode so that you can watch it. And you know, initially, I have to admit it, I said to myself, but why are they coming out now that he has passed away? That was my first initial thought. No, 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 no. Pass no judgment for me, because apparently they were fighting for justice for years, right up to when Princess Diana passed away with his son Dodi in the car. But it was such horrible timing, it had to be abandoned. There were former policemen who also knew about this, gave him personal security, to put a blind eye because he was giving them $250,000 to their charities. So they turned a blind eye. Yes, they did. And so they let monsters, and I cannot believe I'm saying this Egyptian mogul turned out to be just as bad, or if not as worse, as what we are accusing Diddy of today. You have to watch it to see. And I was like, oh wow. What jumped out at me right away was that he definitely has a type, because all of the women were white. None of them were black, none of them were Indian, Asian. They were only white women. It's disgraceful, because I know that the royal family would never ever have allowed this in any way, shape or form had they even gotten a whiff of this. But these women, they were harassed, they were blackmailed, they were bought off, they were silenced, they were threatened. Their family members were also threatened, because they'll go to them and say, well, you know what, we know where your family lives. These were young girls, again, 19, 20, 22, 24, being groped, being held, being pinned down, being broken into their homes, so on and so forth. I mean, nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe. That's how I feel. Nowhere is safe. That this was going on, oh my God. I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to these women that went through this, because it affects you. It changes you. It turns your color. It damages you. It cripples you. The life that you thought that you had, or that you were, pursuing, you no longer want to go down that rabbit hole because of what happened. It becomes a trigger. I had somebody, who told me that, for me, all of this essay all over, all around is so triggering for me, which will now come to what? To therapy. It affects their relationships. It affects their sex lives, their love lives with their partners, because it's so triggering because of this horrible experience. And Mohamed lived on to be the old age of 94. Before he passed away, he handed over Harrods. He sold it after 25 years. And I remember there was an homage to Diana and to Dodi in Harrods. And I remember there was a time when it wasn't there anymore. And now that I think about it, it was because the new owners must have taken it out. That is one. It's also now very telling that behind the scenes, they kind of sort of knew about this, because when I tell you that this has been going on from the 80s, from 88 all the way, and there were women that came out and spoke about this. I think what was really touching was these are mature women now, and they were also very beautiful. They have flashbacks and pictures of them. Things have changed. It's unbelievable that this generation is the last generation that will know what the world was before social media. And I remember in those days you had to have your CV, and you worked from the bottom up, from the shop floor to the manager. And there were so many girls who said they wanted to be a shop owner, they wanted to be a shop buyer, they wanted to be fashion designers, they were in the industry, they wanted to be makeup artists. Charlotte Tilbury was a makeup artist. Yes, in those days, yes. She was a makeup artist. She didn't have her brand then. The same thing with Pat McGrath. All of these were makeup artists because we are all roughly the same age. And you work from the bottom up. And these women, their dreams were killed. And I know that there's no compensation that will compensate for the loss of their youth, of their innocence, of their dreams, of that fiery spirit that died when they were all traumatized by this man. So I'm going to take it to the next step. Not only should Harrods compensate, the Fayad family should also compensate for the families that have been lost and destroyed because of what their grandfather did. Yes, sins of the father. It is what it is. It's a wonderful documentary. And I do not think that all of these women can be telling lies, because there was an MO if you watch it. I'm just so saddened. I am so saddened that this always went on. And so for my young girls, I want to tell you something, because I don't want you ever to think, oh, nothing happened to Fumi, this or whatever. I was just kind of street smart. So if you called me, which was more often than not, to say, you know, Fumi, you're making noise in class, or, you know, the manager wants to see you because you were late, I did not go into the room. Who else is in the room? If it was only you, I wasn't going. Fire me. I don't care. And I was tall, you know, and I was just very aware that, you know what, you were a man, because my mama would tell me, don't be in a room with a man. Don't be in a room with any man. Do not be in a room with nobody. If he wants to speak to you, let him speak to you outside. It's okay, I got the message. Even today, when you go to private practices, doctors, he always brings the nurse into the room if he wants to examine a female. In the United Kingdom, that much I know. But I would never go anywhere with a man. Never, never, ever. I'm going to tell you a quick story before I go. And this really happened. I never drank. I've said it in many episodes, because I had headaches. I get severe headaches if I don't sleep enough, if I don't drink enough water, stress, whatever, headaches. And alcohol is one of those things. Even like a little light wine, I don't care for it. I don't even like the taste of it. Yeah? Okay, moving forward. One day, a girlfriend of mine that we went to college together, she said that there was a party, and the party was going to be on Friday, something like that. I had to maneuver things around because I had my college classes in the morning. It was always between 7, 8, 9. That was it. Why? Because I modeled during the day. I love the fact that we were given this opportunity to choose our times for classes, because you had mature students, now that I remember, who perhaps had jobs. Anyway, to cut the long story short, some guys came and we were to go with them. Something inside of me said, I don't know about this, you know, where are we going, this, that, and the third, you know, I don't know. But it was all three of us that were, no, sorry, I beg your pardon, it was two of us that were to go. So I went, and I went with her. We got to the party, and there was no party. Instead, when we got in, it was just a room full of cigarette smoke, guys watching TV kind of thing. I don't know, that night, I just wanted to dance. I wanted to dance. I wanted to boogie. I had been listening to all kinds of songs at little fashion shows, little events. I just wanted to dance. And so I told my friend, let's go. But she wanted to stay. And so I left. I've told this story before, I think. And so I left. You would think that I would have been afraid, because it was in a residential area. I didn't know where I was going, but I walked all the way down the road to like a main road kind of thing. I'm talking about 10 o'clock at night. And I was able to take the tube. That's what we call here in London. And I went. And I went to a club. I danced. And then I went home. The following morning, I didn't see my friend. The following morning after that, I didn't see her for like 3 consecutive days. And so I went to see her, and she would not make contact with me. It was only about 2 months after, when another incident happened, that I found out that she had been essayed. Yes. If I had not left that evening, that night, that party, it would have happened to me too. Girls, be careful. Be vigilant. If something at the very least, because that's our sixth sense, if something at the very least doesn't feel right to you, go and deal with it later and say, I did not feel comfortable, because that's your sixth sense telling you, get out of there. Do not forget to like, to subscribe, hit the notification button, my darlings, and I will see you sooner than later. This shirt is by H&M. When I tell you I live and I love it. And then I'm just wearing my shorts, my leather shorts today, and my socks, as you can see. And I got extra piece of leather so that it could be longer, because my legs are long and that's the problem I have. But again, I have my alterations lady and she does a fantastic job. And the leather shorts by Amazon, from my Amazon storefront. All of my love, my darlings. And like I said, girls, if you feel any kind of way, you don't feel safe, you don't feel something is itchy bitchy, go.